Want to have a seat? We've got a really wonderful speaker coming up. I had the pleasure of meeting him when he came to New Orleans. We had dinner and learned all about his story. And I wish we put tissues out on the tables, but I just want to get you ready. It's pretty amazing. So it's my pleasure to welcome Terry Pirovolakis. He is the founder and the CEO of Elpida Therapeutics. You heard about that project that we funded along with 4J Foundation this morning. So we're so excited to have him here. So Terry, you're up.
Everybody hear me okay? We're good? Yeah? Awesome. I just want to thank, first of all, CMTRF and Cure CMT4J for supporting us and caring about our children. Without your support, there's no way we could have moved forward, and we will be eternally grateful for your support. So thank you guys so much. It's really appreciated. Um, so my name is Terry Pirovolakis. That's me on the left, and my beautiful wife is Georgia. My oldest daughter is Zoe. My middle son is Zach. And the grumpy baby is Michael. Michael was born on December 17, 2017, a normal, healthy birth. We were told everything looks good. We were home within 3 hours, being our third baby, and we thought our lives would continue normally. And 5 months after Michael was born, my wife came to me and said, just Michael's not doing the milestones or reaching the milestones or other kids were reaching. He's not reaching for things. He's not sitting up. And she was just concerned about, just him in general. So we went to the doctor's office and they said, these kind of things happen. Don't worry. Go to a PT, go to a pediatrician or a physiotherapist and start doing PT, which we did, and things will move along. 6 months after birth, as you can see, after a lot of physiotherapy, he was starting to reach for things, but we knew something still wasn't right. So we went to a pediatrician's office, and they diagnosed Michael with a low muscle tone. So we started off, knowing something was not severely wrong, but something was going on there. And they also diagnosed him with, or said that he had a negative 10th. He was on the 10th percentile for head growth. So we knew something was going on, but at the same time, they're saying, "Don't worry, continue along. He'll be fine." At 8 months after birth, we realized again something was seriously wrong. We were sent to infectious diseases at Sick Kids because I was working in Latin America, and they thought maybe he contracted Zika at the time. So we went to infectious diseases. They started doing all the testing, and as you can see, Michael continued making progress as he was sitting up in this little tiny box. At 10 months of age, he was now sent to neurology. We did an MRI, and he was diagnosed with severe microcephaly at this point. He was in the negative third percentile. Basically, they told us, there's something seriously wrong. We don't know exactly what's going on with Michael, but he does have microcephaly at this point, and we should continue watching him. We knew something was seriously wrong, and we did a pilgrimage to Greece, as you see here, to pray for Michael to get better. Unfortunately, this was something we couldn't pray away. At 12 months of age, we were sent to neurology. And as you can see, Michael was able to pull to stand at this point and crawl. He was in the negative third percentile. They sent away his panels for genetic testing. But they said, again, something seriously wrong. We don't know what's wrong with Michael, but we'll get to the bottom of it and we'll let you know what it is. And then on April 2nd of 2019, Michael was diagnosed with SPG 50. We were told, go home and love him. He'll be paralyzed from the waist down by the age of 10, quadriplegic by the age of 20. He'll never walk, he'll never talk, and there's nothing you can do about it. We went home that night and we lost our minds. Like any parent would, we were crying on the ground, we were freaking out, but we knew that we had to do something. For us, we were told, again, saving Michael was impossible. Well, for us, only thing that was impossible was to do nothing. We had to do something to save this child. So after locking myself in the room for 24 hours, reading everything I humanly could, I realized that we had three options: gene therapy, ASO, or a drug screen. And we came to this conclusion after spending 24 hours and meeting an amazing family from Boston, actually, that had a disease called SPG. Their child had a disease called SPG 47. And they guided us on the journey and they supported us along the way and they told us about their beautiful child. And this kickstarted this kind of process where we realized we could do something to help Michael and the other children. So a month to the day after Michael was diagnosed, I attended a boot camp. I attended the ASGCT conference and I put up this "Wanting a Cure for Michael" poster. I met 6 of the 7 world experts in gene therapy, and I asked a bunch of companies and institutions, including people from the NIH and a bunch of companies as well, if this was your child, what would you do? And almost everybody said gene therapy. So I flew to Sheffield, England. I met the 7th world expert in gene therapy, and we attended a boot camp at Ultragenics that basically taught us how to, or families like me, how to make a gene therapy for your child or how to make a therapy. And pretty much a month and 30 days later, we partnered with 2 amazing people, Dr. Stephen Gray and Dr. Xin Chen, to make a gene therapy for my son and the other children. At this point, we liquidated our life savings. We were about to sell our home. And we realized we had to raise $3 million in order for us to get to the point of treating Michael and potentially a few other children. We did a video, we came out to our community, and they really stepped up and said, we're here to support you. You're not alone. We will do this together. And 2 weeks after coming out with our story, our community came out and did a beer works for us. They made a beer for Michael. They did an event. We raised $25,000, and we knew that at that point, we could do something. We could push this along. We were not alone, and that this beautiful child had a chance. And briefly, I'm just going to show a little quick video on, it shows a bit of Michael. It shows about the journey, and we'll just catch you up on where we're at to this point in the journey.
Hi, baby.
We're going to cure him. That's what we're going to do. We're going to cure him.
Or give him the best shot.
Look at all that stuff to play with. So tell me, what's Michael like?
He's a pretty happy kid in general. Michael's a happy little guy. He works really hard to do basic things that other kids do naturally. But he never gives up, he keeps going, and he tries with all his will to do simple tasks like, crawling and walking and feeding himself, things that we all take for granted. Initially it was hard, and it's still hard. Every day is a little harder because Michael has now started to not reach the milestones he should be reaching. He's not walking, he's not talking, and so that affects you internally as a family.
There's nothing. There's no drug. There's no treatment for Michael's specific disease.
When we were told about Michael's diagnosis, they just said, go home and just live your life, but don't expect much from your son. He will be in a wheelchair, he will be nonverbal, he will be delayed, and there's nothing we could do for you.
Doing nothing is impossible. We can't just sit back and say, Michael can fall apart, and that's okay. That's not okay for us. We'll do everything possible.
There's a process that could help Michael, but it involves this very expensive approach. Alzheimer's disease, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, ALS, and I can go on and on. All of these common diseases are genetic diseases that are more complex, meaning more than one gene is involved. To fix those diseases, we need to learn first how to fix the diseases where single genes are defective, such as Michael's disease. It is the research in these rare, terrible diseases of children that is going to be the springboard for us to figure out how to treat the common diseases that afflict every one of us.
His prognosis is his future looks bleak. He can't fight for himself, but that's why we're fighting to do it fast and quick. So we're just hopeful. We're hopeful that we make it in time.
Hi.
So that video had 3 million views and really raised our support around the world. People started seeing our story, and we started doing galas and golf tournaments. And people started from our community started doing soccer events and lemonade stands and garage sales. And over the course of 3 years, we raised $4.5 million, which allowed us to not have to worry about funding, to allow us to do the things in a fast approach that just couldn't have been done without it. And, as you can see, Michael started, progressing and moving along and doing and making gains. But unfortunately, after a 3-hour seizure, he went from partially verbal to nonverbal and hasn't become verbal since, unfortunately. And then COVID locked down the world. And instead of us worrying about raising money and finding a treatment, we were worried about just making Michael stop losing the abilities that he had, not becoming more paralyzed. So again, I came out to my community and I said, I need help. Will you please help me? And this is the weekend after me asking for help, what my community did for me and our family. This amazing hockey team came out, blocked my street off during the height of COVID, fed my neighbors, put a pool in, and allowed us to continue doing therapy for Michael, because by doing the therapy, we were stopping the disease progression. And at this point, during COVID, I decided that I wanted to lose some weight. As you can see, I'm 300 pounds. I'm a big burly guy. And so as I was trying to lose some weight, my wife was like, why don't you do something crazy and ride from Toronto to Vancouver? I'm like, well, hold on here. If you look, that's me right here after 10 kilometers, passed out on the ground. I don't think I could do 4,000 here. What's going on? So I went to my local MP and I said, if I decide to ride from, I live in Canada, by the way. If I decide to ride from Toronto to Ottawa, which is about 400 kilometers, do you think I could meet Trudeau and really, bring up our gains and our support from the government? And they said, yeah, I think that would be possible. So I spent 9 till 2 in the morning, 3 times a week, riding as far as I humanly could. Broke my bike, I don't know how many times. The wheels on the bike are about $2,000 rims just to handle my weight. And so I did that. I felt after about 6 to 12 weeks, actually about 12 weeks later, I felt my stamina was enough for me to ride that 400 kilometers. And I asked my parents, will you protect me and, make sure I don't get run over along the way? We went all the way from Toronto to Ottawa. It was 100 kilometers a day for 4 days in a row. It killed me. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And my immigrant mom is there elbow pumping Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada. So it was a pretty unique experience. He wanted it as a photo op. I tried to convince him that rare diseases matter, that our children matter, that we're letting down our children, that Canada is doing nothing for our kids. It fell to deaf ears, but we raised $180,000 and we continued our journey to treat Michael. So now we had Michael in more therapy, we had funding that we needed, and we had the results that we looked for. So Dr. Stephen Gray created a gene therapy for us. This is the construct. It's basically an AAV9 using the human, the transgene and basically a vector. We showed that if you increased in cell count in the gene therapy, that we're able to restore more and more cells. And then we showed in wild-type mice over a long period of time that we could increase expression, and it was stable expression over 1 year. And then we showed finally in affected mice that we could stop hind leg clasping or stop the effect of it. So in a normal healthy animal, when you lift them up by the tail, they do a spread eagle. In affected animals, they do hind leg clasping. They put their feet to the side. And after the gene therapy, the affected animals didn't have this problem. So we were able to show that a slight efficacy in the animals. We also did elevated maze and open field, and again showed incremental efficacy that we could move forward to the FDA. So we did toxicology. We filed the pre-IND. We did toxicology studies in rat and non-human primates. We showed biodistribution across both animals. We showed safety. And then we manufactured the drug in a company called Virogen in Spain. This is Caesar, right just above his bald head is the bioreactor that they created Michael's therapy in. And thanks to the collaboration and the support of so many people and institutions, I want to call out Darius Ibrahimi Fakari, who was part of this amazing journey, who's here today. We were able to make the drug. We were able to file to the FDA. But since I lived in Canada, I felt that I should apply in Canada and get my son treated locally. We submitted to Health Canada. We got approval on December 30th of 2021. And Michael got treated in March of 2022 with this gene therapy that we made him. Again, it wasn't me. It wasn't two people. It literally took a village of 22,000 donations and hundreds of people from around the world to get to this monumental step. And if you look at our journey, we did it under 3 years. And the way we did that, we took a lot of financial risk. We manufactured the drug. We did toxicology studies while we were doing efficacy studies. We manufactured the drug while we were doing toxicology. So we didn't take any safety risks. We took a lot of financial risks. We then realized that we had to do something more. We were fortunate enough to have 2 more doses. So we filed an FDA IND. We received approval on August 11th. And overall, if you look at this pathway, to treat 3 children was just about around $4.5 million. Took about 3 years and around that. And again, I want to thank people in this room, people around the world. This is just a small snippet of the individuals, and here are some of the names of the incredible team that we had to make this possible. After that, after we treated 3 children, we figured, okay, well, someone's going to want this program. We treated 3 kids. We have drug product. We tried to give it away. No one would take it. And the reason for that is there's only 100 children in the world, 18 in the US roughly, and there's no commercial viability. So I quit my job. I formed Elpida Therapeutics, and we thought we could move this program forward. This is the team, very small. We're a 7 now, but we were originally 5. We've treated 9 children to date, including my son. And unfortunately, this is the face of the children waiting to be treated. And this is why I wake up every day and I go to work and I work my ass off, and my team does too, so we can treat every single child, because every child deserves what my child had, the chance to be treated. When you look at our study plan, we did the phase 1 in Canada for my son. We did a phase 1/2 in the US. We did 2 patients in Spain, in San Sebastian, including 1 more in SJD in Barcelona. We're opening up a phase 3 starting in January between hopefully UTSW and a hospital in Barcelona called SJD. We have filed in Italy. We're filing in Denmark, and we're filing in the UK. And our goal is that we're going to treat 25% of the population by the end of next year. And if you look at the clinical trial pathway, this is our biggest problem. Traditionally, you'll do a phase 1/2, you'll do a phase 2, you'll do a phase 3, and each of those pathways will take 5 years. Well, we don't have 15 years to wait for our kids. We need to find a way to do it sooner. And I think with ultra-rare conditions, we should be able to find a way to do a phase 1/3 study from beginning to end, and have a path after 5 years. Our pipeline basically is SPG50, CMT4J, CLN7, Batten disease, and we have 3 more programs that we're actively working on right now. And I just want to call out CMT4J. Again, it's a PNS disorder, resembles ALS. It's a demyelinating axonal degeneration. Neurogene had the program from 2019 to 2022. We took it on in 2023, and we're working with Citizen Health and a few other organizations to get this program off the line. We originally got a grant from CIRM for $4 million. It allowed us to do toxicology studies. It allowed us to make raw material. We received a phase 1/2 approval from the FDA, And all that was holding us up was the product, the money to make the product to get to the clinic, which is why we're here today celebrating CMT4RF and this Cure CMT4J's amazing support to allow us to start making the drug product. And in regard to our natural history study, we had 3 sites that we worked with: Iowa, UTSW, and Stanford. And our gene therapy, again, we have a phase 1/2 approved. We have a natural history study. We have clinical grade plasmid. We received rare pediatric disease designation as well as orphan disease designation. And we are planning to do a 500-liter batch in the near future. When we do get to that point, when the drug is made, which is hopefully April, we'll do a group of 2 between 16 and 20-year-olds, and then we'll do a second cohort between 6 more patients from 3 to 20-year-olds. And then again, we also have some really good biomarkers as well. We have something called muscle fat fraction and neurofilament light chain that we're hoping to use in this clinical trial. So we're able to show a difference from the trajectory of the disease. And I just want to take a second and call out one amazing human being, Jocelyn Duff. When I was on this journey, 2 weeks after my son's diagnosis, I called Jocelyn up and I said, "How are you raising money? How are you doing the amazing things you're doing?" And she was kind and supportive and gave me her time, and I'll be forever grateful. And I just want to thank this amazing human being that's here today. So I'll just... some great news. Thanks again for CMT-RF and Cure CMT4J. The manufacturing will be starting October 15th, and we're hoping to have the clinical trial in April of next year. And I just want to quickly talk about the pathway, how to get to a clinical trial. There's steps along the way, and there's some things you have control over and some things that you don't. For example, you have no control over toxicity, you have very little control over safety and your efficacy, depending on what you're doing. But the biggest hurdle is funding and the manufacturing. And thankfully, we're getting there. But the thing that we really have to focus in on is after we treat these children and after we show efficacy, how do we get to drug approval? And as you heard from Brian Casper, it's monumental. Going from a clinical trial to approval is just such a huge step, and we have to figure out a way to get there. I don't have the right answer, but we're trying really, really hard. And the reason for that is 90% of the drugs fail, and on average, it costs $1.3 billion to make a drug product. It's a huge cost and it's a huge task. And again, the last thing I want to talk about is our family's journey. This is a bag that we have in the corner of our room, and anytime that Michael gets sick, we're running out with this bag, going to the hospital. No parent should have a bag in their room. No parent should have to look at their child and see them suffer through tests and pain and disease. No one should have to suffer through that. And definitely no parent should ever have to bury their child. So I want to thank everybody today for your support, for helping us get to this amazing point, and for helping us hopefully save our children. Thank you very much.
Great. We'll open it up for questions. Does anyone have any questions? This is Jocelyn.
I don't really have a question. I just have a comment and an enormous amount of gratitude. I wasn't able to be here this morning because I was helping our daughter Talia get ready for school. And Tal is my kiddo who has CMT4J. And to have a kiddo with advanced early onset severe CMT4J, a morning routine involves a shaky vest to help her lungs stay open, a cough assist after that, a nebulizer, helping her to go to the bathroom and getting her into a sling and into a lift and into her power chair. And she is the reason that I've been doing this for 9 years now. And she said to me before I left this morning, she said, "Where are you going today, Mom?" And I told her, I said, "I'm going to this CMT convention, and I want to let these people know how thankful we are for their amazing support and trust and contributions to our work." And she just looked at me and she said, "Mom, you're a genius." I said, no, I'm not. I said, I just have faith and hope. And she is the one who's been helping me to do that all these years. Our story is so similar to Terry's, except we got stuck for quite a while. The pandemic was one of our biggest hurdles, and we've been picking up the pieces along the way. And we've been here literally with a cure sitting on a shelf for years now. And to be able to get to this milestone and have the support and the funding from CMTRF is just amazing. And I'm so grateful to all of you. Thank you so much.
Any other questions?
Question. Actually, perfect. Thank you. I'm wondering how you got the approval and the process for the therapy that Michael received without going through all of the clinical trials and the stuff that's ongoing and that you're doing right now. What was the process like for getting that therapy as an experimental therapy?
Yeah, so we actually filed a phase one because we wanted it to be available to any Canadian child. So we didn't just make it as an N of one. It was so we had to actually file a full IND. And that process was significant. But I'll say that the FDA and Health Canada were super supportive. I mean, they realized that there's a child at the end of this, that there's children at the end of this. And they were helpful from the Canadian perspective to help Michael get treated. They opened, like, I mean, to put in perspective, in 10 days, they approved our submission. Like, that's like critically fast. When we submitted our FDA submission, it was really, really fast. They were really supportive. And even now, when we talked to them about our phase three, you know, we didn't really have, I guess, the strongest endpoints, and they came back with feedback. So we're grateful that the regulatory bodies, not only in Canada and the US, but also in Europe now, are helping us and move this along and understand the importance of it.
Okay. Yay, Canada, I guess. That's awesome.
Perfect. Thank you.